Okay, I have made you co-host so you can continue the class. As soon as Anthony comes in, I'll make you host again and make him co-host and leave, okay?
Sounds good. Okay. I've admitted a bunch of folks. Hello, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Anthony. Let's see, Anthony is here. Okay. Hi, everyone. Happy Memorial Day.
Hello. Hello.
It's good to see everyone. We have a couple more folks who I think will be joining us. And so some of you have probably noticed we've instituted some new security measures recently. Last weekend, we had, unfortunately, a number of Zoom bombing incidents have been happening. And so as a result, we've instituted what we call the Zoom waiting room. And what's happening is we're allowing folks to join in on the waiting room for the first 5 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, if you haven't been able to join the class, then what we do is we recommend you watch via live stream the class. So you won't be admitted in after 5 minutes, but you can watch via one of our live streams. So just wanted to let folks know about that. You know, it's always something. You need to be agile and pivot. I also wanted to introduce Anthony, who is with our Get Set Up support team. Anthony's going to be in the class today, helping me out, monitoring the chat. If you have any questions today, please, just unmute yourself, ask away, or put your questions in the chat. We'll be taking a look there. And I am going to go ahead and get us started. Verna, did you have a question? I see your hand raised.
Yes. I was in the class yesterday and I was disconnected.
Oh.
After about 10 minutes, I think.
Okay.
And I couldn't get back in. I tried different ways of getting in, either under my own schedule or through the confirmation, but I couldn't get back in. So I called that 888 number.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like 20 minutes we were on there and I couldn't get back in. So I finally said, maybe you can help somebody else because it's not going to work for me. Okay. I mean, because even if I got back in at that point, I'm sure, because I've attended the class before, the guide was into the closing down and giving, all the other information. So it didn't make sense for me to try anymore. So what do I do in that case? Do I go live stream or, I was
you
already
can.
in.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I'm going to reach out to support and ask them about that. You can always go to live stream and just watch the class. You can also get a copy because you registered for the class. Mm-hmm. You can get a copy of the class recording, which will allow you just to take the class again, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Kevin, did you want to say something? You had you had your hand raised.
Yes, actually.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention to every learner in the class, if for some reason you guys are late, you can send a message to our Facebook page and Facebook group, and the support team will let the TAs know and they'll let you in the class after 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Is this only through Facebook?
You can also call the customer service number.
Okay, the 888 number.
Yes.
Well, that's the one I called and it wasn't successful, so.
I'll share the details with you in the chat, okay?
I agree. I had the same issue in a couple other classes yesterday and this last week, and even calling, they said, oh, we can't let you in after 5 minutes, but even when they tried, it didn't work. So I don't know what's going on.
But I was already in. I was participating at that point. It was a Tai Chi class. So, I don't
folks-
know what happened.
Folks, you know what? I'm going to start the class right now. I appreciate the fact that you have had issues, and I want to make sure we get these addressed. So feel free to stay after class. And I'd like to talk to you about them if you wouldn't mind, because I want to make sure that we address these, but I'm going to get us going. First of all, welcome everyone. My name is Vicki. I am your Get Set Up guide. I'm calling in from San Jose, California today. Well, every day. A little bit about me for those of you who I haven't met yet. I worked in the high-tech industry for over 30 years, doing a number of different things: technical support, technical training, instructional design. I've taught students from around the world. I've taught very technical folks, and I've taught folks who are maybe more like yourselves, just, starting to dip your toes into this world of technology. And being a guide with Get Set Up allows me to do what I love best, and that is to educate folks about technology. So just a little bit about me. Today, we love it when folks have their cameras turned on. I understand maybe your camera's not working today, or you're not up for it. I leave this decision up to you. We just love it, when we can see you, when we can see each other. Today's class is being recorded, and if you would like a copy of the recording, all you need to do is email us at help@getsetup.io. Just give us the name of the class as well as the date that the class was held. For those of you who are joining via live stream, welcome. We're glad to have you on board. We always recommend that folks register for classes, because that way you really can take full advantage. I'll be sending after class notes out to those folks who have registered for class. You'll get it via an email. If you're joining via live stream, you don't get that emails. Also, if you're joining via live stream, you can see and hear everything that we're doing, but you can't participate by asking questions or sending messages in the chat. And lastly, Get Set Up is a training organization. The guides, like myself, we're not paid to promote any specific products or services. We are all about the training here. If you are interested in hosting an interest group, now I'm going to have Marv joining us towards the end of class today. And he's going to be talking to you about joining, or hosting, I should say, an interest group. Talking to you a little bit about that. We do have a new little button here on our website, apply to host a session. If there's something, particular topic that you're really passionate about, want to share with others, give it a thought. Lastly, if you really love the classes that you've been taking, the interest groups, the social hours, feel free to invite others, share the learning, as we say. We've made it very easy to click on a button when you register for class to invite others to the class as well. So, just an FYI for that one. We're going to be talking about web browsers today. What are some of the common features that all web browsers share? What are the different web browsers? What do they do? And how, you can differentiate between them. One may be better for you than another. First of all, let's talk about what is a web browser. So a web browser, something we all use no matter what device you're on. It's an application. It's loaded onto your device, and it's used to display web pages. So when you log on to Get Set Up, your web browser, whichever one you're using, is displaying a web page when you get to the Get Set Up site. And so this, again, different web browsers come included with your device. And if you wanted to know which device has which web browser, this is a nice table here. So these are the big name web browsers. There are others. You probably are using one of these. I sometimes use more than one. And these are the companies that make them. And these are the devices that come with these web browsers. So if you're using Chrome, that if you're using a Chromebook or you have an Android device, a tablet or smartphone, the Chrome web browser comes with that device. The same thing with Apple. If you're using a MacBook or you're on an iPhone, iPad, Safari automatically comes with, the web browser comes with those devices. Now, Firefox is a little different because it's what we call an open source web browser, and you will need to download that web browser on any device that you're using. And by the way, just because you're using a particular device with a web browser that comes with your device doesn't mean you can't download any other web browser. There are some exceptions. So that's just a listing of the web browsers and the devices that they are shipped with. And again, if you have any questions, just stop me and ask away. Let's talk a little bit about browsers versus search engines because they are different. So remember, a browser displays a web page. When you go to get set up, or if you go to Microsoft.com, it will display the web pages for that site. Now, this is a little bit different than a search engine. So search engines are used on a browser. They run within your browser. The search engine is used to find something on the web. So we took a look at what some of the browsers are: Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari. Some of the search engines that you may already be using, Google is a search engine, Bing, which comes with Microsoft, Yahoo. There are more, but these are some of the big ones. So let me just, I'm going to open up, I'll go ahead and open up Edge, my Edge browser. So this is my Edge web browser. I'm on a Microsoft, a Windows PC. And if I were to go, I can type out, getsetup.io. And then what it will do is it will go to that website, my web browser, and it's going to bring up the web page for Get Set Up. This is what you're seeing right now. This is a web page. If I just click on my back browser, I want to get to my main browser window. We talked about this idea of search engines. So a search engine allows you to search for anything on the web. So I can search for, I don't know, sunglasses. So that's what a search engine does. I typed out a search criteria and it found a number of different, it went out to the web, the internet, and it came back with a number of results. So that is what a search engine does. And your search engine works within your browser. Now, there are a number of different search engines. Because I worked with Edge, I opened up my Edge web browser. It's using something called Bing, which is a search engine. I could also, within my search, my web browser, I could go to google.com, and now I'm using Google's search engine. So within a browser, you can specify different search engines. I could, for example, if I wanted to use Yahoo's search engine, I could just type out yahoo.com. And now I'm sitting here using Yahoo's search engine. So browsers are installed on your device. Search engines are actually running off of the internet, but they run within your browser. The search engines are just that. They go out to the web and they search for things. Anybody have a question so far on what we've talked about? Just feel free to raise your hand.
Some browsers are not compatible with sites. You find out that you can't get to something because you're using the wrong browser. And then now I understand that Internet Explorer is kind of going by the wayside, and I'm actually having sites tell me don't use it anymore. So how do you get rid of it too?
Right. So what I've done is my PC is fairly new. So it came with Edge already, which is the browser that's installed by default on, Windows machines. Internet Explorer was the older version of Edge. And I would say you can install the Edge browser. You can install just about any browser you want to on your machine. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. And then you can set up Edge as your default browser instead of Internet Explorer, because it pretty much has gone away. I don't even use it anymore.
Do you then get rid of it off your computer or just
You
let
can.
it there?
You can leave it there if you want, or you could just delete it. You can uninstall it, delete it. Yeah. Yeah. Great question. Any other questions about web browsers versus search engines? Yeah, Sushila.
I have a Dell computer and I use the Edge on it. I tried to put in my Google and I get that too, but by default, it always goes back to Edge.
Yeah,
How
and
do I?
one of the things I'm going to do is in my after class notes today, setting a browser as the default. I'm going to include that in my notes so that you have it, so you can follow along on how to do this. So I'll show you how, in my after class notes in the email, I'll set up some steps for you to set your particular browser as the default browser.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question though. Thank you. All right. And
Good,
stop
that'd
me. Yeah, I'm sorry. Question.
No,
No,
I
but-
was just saying that would be great to know that.
Yes, I will. Because not everybody knows. Okay, so we were talking about browsers versus search engines. Browsers are installed on your device. The search engine really is installed on the internet. It runs from the on the web. We also talked about this idea of web browsers displaying web pages. And so a little bit of information about what is a web page. So web pages are nothing more than files, believe it or not. And these web pages, these are what we call HTML, and that stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Fancy schmancy to throw out at your next cocktail party, because there are cocktail parties coming. So when you're creating a web page for your website, you're doing this using HTML. And it's a language that really dictates how buttons, when you click on a button, what does it do? How are things set up on a web page? And this World Wide Web Consortium, it's a group of companies and organizations. You may recognize some of the names. There are many more. They come together because they're responsible for maintaining and implementing standards, internet standards. And that includes standards for how browsers work, because many of these browsers all have the same tools, features, even if they have a slightly different look and feel. And so that's what this consortium is set up for. And again, this HTML, what was HTML? What did it stand for? Hypertext Markup Language. Very fancy. And you can even go onto your browser and type out HTML and it'll tell you about the hypertext markup language. So it's a language that programmers use to design web pages. When you got onto getsetup.io, those are web pages that you're looking at that are designed using HTML. And again, it's set up as a standard so that all browsers have the same supported features, no matter which browser you use. And that's where we're going next. We're going to talk about what are some of the common tools that all browsers present when you're using them, whether it's Edge or Safari or, well, not Internet Explorer, but Firefox, Google, Chrome rather. And so we're going to take a look at these browser tools. Some of you may not even be aware that some of these exist. So the first tool that's available to all different browsers is something called the address bar. When you first open up your browser, there are two fields that you always see. I mean, the different browsers have different looks and feels and color schemes, but they always show you something called an address bar up at the top here. And then this is where your search engine is. This is where your search field is. And so let me go ahead. I have Firefox open. I'm just going to open up a new tab, and I'm showing you Firefox here. I had Edge before. Now I'm on Firefox. And this is where my address bar is. And if I were to type out, I'm going to be very boring, Amazon.com, I get to the Amazon website. If I typed out getsetup.io, I would get to the Get Setup site. So that's what this address bar really is used for. If you know the address or the URL, it's another term, URL, if you know the address of your website, you will type it in right here, and then your web browser will then reach your, go retrieve the website, and it will start displaying information on web pages. So that's what the address bar is used for up here. And let me know if you have any questions. And you'll notice that when I was typing out the address, I didn't type out www.amazon.com. You really just need to type out the name Amazon.com here. And your web browser knows how to handle the rest. And so
What does-
this is, yeah.
What does IO mean? I never saw that before.
Right. So when you have different websites, it really just when a company is registering its website on the internet, it will it needs to provide what we call like a domain name. And the .io, you'll see .com, .edu, .org. They all refer to different types of organizations. .com, it was one of the first ones out there. Companies use it. .org is very often used for nonprofit organizations. .io is typically used, it has been used recently by startup companies to denote that's the type of a company it's a startup. So that's the idea behind this, but great question. Yeah.
It's new.
Yeah, it is. It's in the big scheme of things, the .io it's more of a shift towards if you're a startup, but there are plenty of startups out there that have a .com, but domain name, but that's all right. All right, so
Thank you.
that's the address bar. You're so welcome. And again, let me know if you have any questions about what this address bar is used for. And you'll see
Vicki?
the word, yeah.
Actually, somebody at Get Set Up said it's British Islands in the Indian Ocean. That's what they told me.
IO, Indian Ocean. I'm gonna have to look that up. Indian Ocean. My understanding is typically startups are adopting the .io domain name. So I'm gonna look that up, Carl. Thank you. I love it. And by the way, feel free to chime in with, Verna, you were told that as well. I'm going to look this one up and I'm going to include it in my after class notes, what I found. And that's how we learn. People, you find out other things in other classes and just, let me know about it. Share it with the class. The other field that you'll always see on a web browser is something called the search field. And again, if I hop back up to, again, I'm on Firefox. I'm going to try and use different browsers. This is what Firefox looks like when you first bring it up. Here's my address bar up top here. And here is my search field. And this really is invoking the search engine. So if I were to type out, let's do this. I want to show you the difference. If I were to type out Get Set Up down in the search field instead of the address field, because sometimes people do this and they get a little confused. What's happening is I'm getting a number of different returns. I get a number of different websites in my results. And very often, if I selected this Get Set Up, it'll bring me to getsetup.io. But if you're not really paying attention, there are other websites that have information about Get Set Up. And clicking on one of them, here's one for Facebook, here's one for LinkedIn. It's not going to bring you to our website. It will bring up another website. And so that's the difference. If you're confused at all, when you bring up your browser, if you know your address of your website, you'll type it into your address bar and it'll bring you directly to that website. If you're not sure of the address, you'll search on the company name here. And then just like I showed you with Get Set Up, it will bring up a set of results. And from here, you can scroll through and say, you know what? I think this is the one. This is the Get Set Up website that I'm looking for. And then it'll bring you to the website. So that's really the difference between using these two. And I'm clicking on my back button just to get us back to the main Firefox website. And this is true if you're working on Edge, if you're working with, I have Chrome up here. It's the same thing. You have your search field and your address field.
It's good.
Anybody have any questions so far or comments?
I have a comment, and that is you have to be really careful that you get to the right site. And I often put in official site because especially in buying tickets for something, you'll go to a site and you'll be paying twice as much as the official site has the thing, and it can get into a lot of trouble. So I put in official site a lot of times.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Thank you so much for that. And you do, and that's why if you know what we call the URL, the actual address that, getsetup.com or amazon.com or IO, that's when you'll be typing it into the address field, the address bar there. So yeah, that's the difference between the search field and the address bar. Yeah, question, sorry.
Yeah, I have a question on what she had just said. So if she doesn't know and she's searching it, are you typing like Get Set Up official site? Is that what you're putting in?
Yeah,
in that
and
spot?
Yeah.
And
yes.
Is that what you were doing before?
Yes. Or
Okay.
any, I mean, just in case there's more things that, like, especially
You'll
with
do it.
ticket, especially
Yeah.
with tickets, I found you can really get into all kinds of sites that sell tickets, but the official one will actually be cheaper.
Yeah. And this is, I typed out official site and then, yeah. And so
Right.
you'll see here, official site of the, yeah. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it. Okay. What else are we going to talk about? So we have the search field tabs. This is another feature that is available to all browsers. Really useful. And for folks who are just starting to use browsers, I think this is so helpful to know about. So I'm just going to go back. I'm on my my Firefox browser. This is what I'm using today. And one of the things that you'll be able to do, and let me see if I can make my screen a little bit, I wanted to share a little bit bigger. I want to move this down so you can see it. There we go. I have different tabs open here on my browser. And I know some people think, well, I'm on email and I have to open up, I wanted to open up another application. I guess I'll just have to close email down. And the answer is no, you don't. You can have multiple websites up on your browser using these, what we call tabs. And so the way that I opened up this tab is I'm in my web browser, and usually you'll see this plus sign right here, and it'll say open a new tab. I click on that plus sign, it opens up a new tab. I can then type out another, sneakers.com. I don't even know. You can type out the name of a URL that you know of. You can use your search engine. And then simply, there we go, Allbirds sneakers. And I can open up multiple tabs. And with each tab, I can open up a different website or even a different application. And so simply by clicking on different tabs, you can go back and forth between your websites or even between applications. And it's the same across all of the different web browsers. To open a tab, you simply click on this plus sign right here, no matter which browser you're using. So tabs are really, really useful to work with. And let me know if you have any questions. I'm working with the Firefox browser right now, but it's the same across all the different browsers.
I have a question. I hate it when I have multiple tabs open,
Mhm.
and sometimes these tabs may be places I went to accidentally. How can I streamline that tab bar and just
Well-
keep the ones that might be useful? Do I have to cross them out individually?
Yes, that would be the easiest thing to do because you probably don't want, and I'm clicking on the X button right here, right on this particular tab. Whatever tab you wish to close, you will just click on the X button to close it. And again, I'm on a PC today. I'm working on the web browser on a PC. On a mobile device, we're going to talk about that. It's just a teeny bit different, but the concepts are all the same. There is a different look and feel. So I'm working on the PC today, my Windows machine. So Sushil, yeah, that you're just going to close down your individual tabs. Just otherwise you close everything down. So that's the best scenario I can give you. And again, when you open up a tab, if you went to something, you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. You just simply close the tab and then it doesn't bother you anymore. You don't even have to look at it. So hopefully I answered that question. All right, so that's tabs. Very, very useful. Another feature that's available on all browsers are bookmarks. And bookmarks, when you've been reading a book, a good old paperback book or a hardcover, you have your little bookmark and you put it in your book and close it. And then the next time you go to read that book, you just open it up and there it is. Bookmarks on browsers are the same, same concept. So you can bookmark a web page or web pages that you frequently use. Maybe Amazon.com or other bookmarks that you can you like to use, rather than have to open up a tab, type out the name of the site. Instead, you can simply save it as a bookmark. I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. And your bookmarks, you can save them so they're here on your bookmark bar, and every browser has a bookmark bar. Or if you don't want to save them on your bookmark bar, every browser has one of these folders called Other Bookmarks, and you can save it under Other Bookmarks. So for example, let me search. I'll do it this way. Let me go to search on an apple pie recipe. And I don't know, this looks good. And maybe Taste of Home. I go to this website often. I like a lot of their recipes. I like the layout of their web page. I'm going to bookmark this. And so when you bookmark a page, you're flagging it as a favorite. And here I'm using, and I don't want to see that ad, I'm using Firefox, and they all work very similar. What I'm going to do here is come up to the address bar, and I've made my pointer very large. So there's the star here, which enables me when I click on this, I'm bookmarking this page. And I can bookmark the name. I can just say, oops, apple pie recipe. Where do I want to bookmark it? Do I want to put it on this toolbar? If I do that and I click done, here's my apple pie recipe. So even if I close down that website, when I open a new tab, there is my apple pie recipe bookmark. And it's as easy as pie, easy as apple pie. The other place where you can save your bookmarks, by the way, if you don't want to do it on the toolbar, you can put it in the other bookmarks folder. And let me show you what that looks like. If I click on another tab, I go to my other bookmarks. I click on that folder, and there's my apple pie website right there. There's the bookmark. And you can also create your own folders under other bookmarks and keep it there as well. And so that is bookmarks. So just again, when you find a website that you use frequently, click on the star to bookmark it. And it operates almost identical throughout. If I go to and I bring up Edge, there is that star, instead of bookmarking, it'll say add to favorites, the same concept. So you just have to understand the slight nuances between the browsers. Anyone have any questions about bookmarking? Just another neat tool to know about when you're working with browsers. And they all have this. So that's bookmarks.
How do you go and find your favorites listed when you have them all listed other than on the toolbar and other than on the word other bookmarks? Is there somewhere else to go and locate
It's
your
going to be,
favorites?
it's either going to be listed on your bookmark like toolbar here, or it'll be in other bookmarks, and you can create folders in other bookmarks. The other thing that you can do is, and I'm on Firefox, but if you were in Edge or in Chrome, the same thing. You can come up to your menu bar here. This is the little menu. Some Chrome has 3 dots. Firefox just has 3 horizontal lines. You actually can go up to the menu, and then you can go to, there's another option here. I think it's libraries, what it's called. And then from within library, you can go to bookmarks. I would say the 2 places where you're going to save your bookmarks is either here on the toolbar or in other bookmarks. And if I bring up Chrome here just for a moment, this is my Chrome browser. In other bookmarks, you'll notice these are all my bookmarks. I've created a lot. I have a lot of bookmarks here. I've created other folders and stored bookmarks within my folders. So it's either going to be here on the toolbar or in other bookmarks.
How do you create your own folder to put bookmarks in?
Depending on which browser, they pretty much are the same. But let's just say, I think I already have the apple pie. I'm just gonna, I don't know why I'm thinking about this. I'm just gonna go to good old Purina. I have no idea. Sometimes these things just pop up into my brain. And when I click on the star over here in Chrome, I can add a bookmark. And one of the things that I can do where it says other bookmarks, I can say choose another folder. And I can create my folder. I can say new folder, what do I want to call this?
Okay.
And then when I'm saving this, I can say, I want to, let me just edit my bookmark. I think, yeah, I put it under dog food right there. Yep. And so, and then I'm going to come back, in another day or two. Purina, why did I save dog food?
When it shows up, does it come up as a subcategory that shows, or is it just under there and you have to look at dog food?
You need to go to dog food.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have to clean out some of these. I have a lot, a lot of stuff here. Ay. So yes. There
Wendy,
you go.
I mean, sorry, Vicky,
Yeah,
when you have a lot of bookmarks, okay, like you showed us, you had a huge list of bookmarks. Why don't they have a function put in alphabetical order?
Mm.
yes.
I have to drag them for
know.
half an hour. I drag them and put them in alphabet because until you find it, when it's alphabetical order, it's faster. So in Edge, I drag them, and it takes me sometimes, an hour to.
I know, to find it. Yeah. Let me, you know what? I want to do a little bit of research on that one, Carl. Let me see if I can come up with something. I don't know off the top of my head. It's, sort of first in, first out kind of a thing. But let me see if maybe there's another application, a third-party application you can use to help with that. I don't know, but, or maybe there's a setting I'm not aware of in a particular browser. So let me take a look. Thanks for that. Great questions though. Thank you. All right. Private browsing. Some people may not know about this. So this works out well if you're sharing a computer with one or more people. As you work, as you visit different websites, your browser is collecting information about those websites, and that's considered your browsing history. So if you're sharing a computer and you don't want other people to know what other websites you've been on, you might want to consider using private browsing. Now, just so that you know, when you select private browsing, it opens up a new browser window. And when you close that browser window, it does not save your browsing history when you've selected private browsing. But it does not make you anonymous to websites that you visit. The websites still collect information about you, cookies. We're going to talk about that next. So let me show you what it looks like to go into private browsing. And some browsers call it different things. So it's private browsing on like Edge. I think Chrome, Google Chrome uses something called incognito mode. It's the same thing. They just name it something different. So I'm using my Firefox browser. I've opened up a new tab. The way that I'm going into private browsing is I'm coming up to these three horizontal lines. This is the menu. And here it says new private window. If I click on new private window, you'll notice that I've actually opened up a whole nother browser window. And it tells you that you're in a private window. We're not saving your browsing history. And so you are in a browser. You can search, you can type out a web address. And the thing is, when you close this browser, no one can then see what other websites you've been to using Firefox browser because you were in your own separate private window. If you're using Chrome, I'm just going to open up Chrome here. If I open up a new tab by clicking on that plus sign, I'm going to come up to my little three dots here. And this is called new incognito window. It's private browsing. You'll notice it's a whole nother browser window. And this does not save your browsing history. Or does it save your cookies and data? So it's just nice to know if you're going to be sharing a PC with someone and you don't want them to know about, your browsing history. My suggestion is open up one of these private browsing windows. All right, any questions about that? Some people don't even know. Oh, and there's Marv. One other thing I want to do, I'm going to, Marv has joined us and he's going to be talking to us about interest groups. Saving passwords, I'm going to add some information about this in my after class notes. The last thing I want to talk to you about, I'm just going to cut class short a teeny bit, but I will put in information about saving passwords, mobile browsers. Remember, that consortium that we talked about, not only do they set standards for browsers, but also your mobile browsers as well. They work a little bit differently. They have to utilize real estate differently. So they're working in a compressed mode as compared to our PC browsers. But you'll see that Get Setup, it looks exactly the same, no matter which browser you're using. I believe A is Chrome, B is you're using Edge on your mobile phone, and C is Safari. So they all look the same, no matter which website you're going to. You just navigate using different controls down at the bottom. The last thing I want to talk about is secure websites and cookies. When we talk about a secure website, what we really mean is when you go to a website, whatever information you enter into, maybe you're creating a new account or you're entering in shipping information, that information is secure. It is, nobody can see that. It's encrypted if you're exchanging information between that website. You know if you're working off of a secure website because it has HTTPS at the very beginning of the website. You'll see right here, HTTPS and a lock. That means you're working off of a secure website. No one can see your data as it's transmitted back and forth. And then lastly, cookies, before I hand it over to Marv. All websites use cookies. They need cookies because they track your browser session. It doesn't contain any personal information. These cookies are stored on your browser. And when you log on to a website, for example, I log on to Amazon, maybe I make a purchase. If I were to continue shopping, I've added a purchase, I've added something to my cart, cookies are being used for that. And then if you continue shopping and move away from the page that contains your cart, if you go back a few minutes later, that information in your shopping cart is still there because of cookies. So that's just a little bit of information on secure websites and cookies, which are saved on your browser and they are used by websites, but it contains user session information. So with that said, I am going to stop sharing my screen. And I want to turn it over to Marv, who's with our Get Set Up group. And Marv's going to talk to you about our interest groups. Take it away, Marv.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you. By the way, folks, I put some information about Vicki down in the chat down there. Very, very interesting information. Other classes she teaches. I know my wife took a class from a particular guide and she just liked the style of the guide, the way they taught. And she ended up taking some more classes from that guide because she just liked the style. So I put that in there for Vicki. Vicki's one of our best. I mean, just terrific. So I thank you all for coming to her class. I can't get over the amount of males. We have men in the class. My gosh, the classes I've taught so many times, all women, and they say, we need to get more men. Well, thank you guys for coming. That's great. Now, what I want to talk about is I have been charged with coming into several classes the last 10 minutes on it. And what I'm hoping to persuade you to do is to make friends, get set up friends. They're safe. I hope they're safe anyway. But, it's kind of like a friendship circle with a basic topic. So, for example, if I were to say to Carl out there, hey, Carl, what do you have? Yeah, I'd say, nice smile, Carl. What do you have interest in or something? And Carl would say, what would Carl say, Carl? You're muted. Unmute yourself. Yep. All right. Well, assuming Carl would have interest in maybe golf.
Sorry,
Or-
Marv, I was somewhere else and I couldn't get back out. I was looking at something. What I have an interest in, well, besides technology, I guess mostly technology.
Okay.
Because you're creative. You're creative.
All right. And I'll bet that there are a lot of people just in this class alone, not to mention other classes, that definitely have interest in technology. And instead of having a formal class where you have a guide, what Get Set Up is charging me to do is to see if there's interest in you folks getting a group together just to talk about, let's say, technology. You could also talk about your family if you want in it. I mean, it's not structured as such, but there is a basic focus in it. And that way you could interface with the other people in the class versus the guide. You'd probably have a host, somebody who would kind of guide it along, but you'd be talking to each other and you'd be making friends. And then you could go ahead and exchange email addresses and you could become virtual buddies outside of the class as well. I mean, it can help a lot of people. For example, let's say Carl knows a lot about technology. I wouldn't want him to be burdened with everybody calling and saying, Carl, I got a problem. I can't get this going. No, I wouldn't want that to happen. But I think it would be nice. You could make friends. You know, Joanne's out there saying, well, yes, I wouldn't mind making a new friend. Who wouldn't mind making a new friend? And this is safe, folks. This is safe. So I'm encouraging all of you to take this to heart and email me. I put in my email in the chat as well. Email me on it and let me know if you sincerely would like to, number one, make friends. Secondly, get this circle going. I would be more than happy to sit in with you on it, to guide you on it, Get Set Up. It has a bunch of resources they can help you to get it going. And you don't have to do it that often. You don't have to do it every single day. You can do it once a week. You could do it once every couple of weeks. But just to get an interest group going. Anybody have any comments on that? Would you like to see that? Can I see a shake of the head or a thumb up or something like that? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want friends? And that's the whole purpose of it, is to have friends. Let me tell you, and this is a little bit of a downer, but I think it's fair to share. My mother was president of many, many organizations, and she had tons and tons of friends. She passed away at age 92. At age 83, I said to her, I said, hey, Mom, I said, is there anything I can do to help you? Because she was losing her eyesight through macular degeneration, and she had severe arthritis. And she said, I wish you could. She said, I wish you could, Marv. But she said, my biggest problem is I'm losing one friend a week. One friend a week, folks. That is just traumatic. When I heard that, I said, oh, Mom, what a deal. But we're going to lose our loved ones. We're going to lose our spouse if we haven't already. We're going to lose our friends. You don't want to be alone in those latter days. You don't want to be. And what better place to find it than Get Set Up? All of us older adults of like mind, wanting to take classes, wanting to have fun, and especially making friends. I mean, it's great to get new knowledge. It's always, always wonderful to do that. But to have just a whole group of friends out there that you can socialize with for as long as you last. I mean, personally, I'm going to last forever. I don't think I'm going to go away. No, we're all going to do it. And trust me, I see those smiles out there, and you can't believe inside here. I think I'd like to have these people as friends. They all look like friends, and there's no reason we can't all be friends. Doesn't mean we have to tell all of your secrets and your diseases. No. I'm just talking about a gathering and chatting. How was your day today? It was okay. Did you do anything in technology? No, not today, but I'm planning to do it tomorrow. Well, what are you going to do? Things like that, folks. Things like that. And I just use technology as an example. You can have anything. You can talk about, let me tell you a personal thing. Right now, I am preparing, after this class is over, I am preparing to make a Memorial Day meal. And I'm using something called sous vide. Sous vide. If you haven't heard of it, look it up. SOUSVIDE on it. It's I don't know if it's a new method, but it's a method of cooking that's a little bit different on it. And that would be a fun topic. I mean, there's so many topics. You could talk about how you grew up. You could talk about How do you grow hair? I mean, there's a lot of things out there that you could talk about, folks. So anyway, I encourage you, please, please think about it. If you are really serious when you shake your head, yes, I'd like to make friends, please drop me a line in the email and I will get you hooked up with me or some people. I would love to be included though. I hope they don't boot me out. No, they wouldn't do that. They think I could handle it. So I would love to be there. Stop laughing at me, Carl. Oh my gosh. I love this class. It's energetic. By the way, let me put in something a little bit of it, also a downer here. You folks that aren't showing your face, I respect that because you're probably eating or you just got out of the shower or something. But to make friends, you got to get out there. You got to smile. You got to look at the people. You got to tell people about yourself. That's the number one thing to do. And I think all would agree with that. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Vicki. Vicki, thank you for giving me the chance to talk with your wonderful learners here. And I truly mean it. They're seeing those faces in there. I would like to make friends, and who can't use friends? So take it over, Vicki. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Marv. Oh, it's so great to see you. So that's a little bit about interest groups. And for today, we're coming up on our hour. And just remember, we hold this class, about every week. And if you want, I always suggest people come back and take class, as many times as you wish. Again, I'll be sending out after class notes. There were 1 or 2 points that I didn't get a chance to talk about, but I'll make sure they're included in the notes. And, just thank you so much for joining me today. I want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day. For those of you who have served our country from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you so much. And I know that there were a couple of folks who were going to stay after because there were just a couple of issues you had about trying to get onto class. So I want to make sure that we get those addressed. Otherwise, thanks so much for joining me today.
Vicki, can I interrupt just one quick second?
Course, yeah.
People have said to me, Marv, you must have done pretty good in your life. You look like you're living in a nice home. Folks, it's a virtual background. I'm not going to show you my messy office. No, but guess who teaches the class? Yep, Vicki. Vicki teaches the class. She can show you how to do this very thing on it. I just wanted to put that in because people say, people say, oh, what a nice house. No. Anyway, all right. Thanks, folks.
Everybody. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. It was so wonderful to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.